Hi everyone, welcome to episode 79 of the XS Noize Podcast. I'm Mark Millar, thanks for listening. In this episode, I talked to Bridie Monds-Watson, also known as Soak, to hear all about their fantastic third album, If I Never Know You Like This Again. If you missed the previous episode, I spoke to Darius Keeler from acclaimed South London collective Archive.
I mean, I don't want to sound, like everyone else. Come up, the George Floyd thing, man, that was just fucked me up big time when I saw that. And that was when I wrote that Freedom song, this the second part of it was written first, and that was just that. And I co-wrote with Lisa. I just had the first lyrics, and then Lisa came and just, took it to another level. But just that thing with the West, it's like freedom is such a, not so much in the UK. It still isn't. Fuck me, even a north-south divide, man. In England, it's like, you go to some of those towns up north, it's, there's another world, man. It's like the poverty, the food banks, all of that stuff. And they don't have the same freedoms. They do not have the same freedoms. And you can say, well, it's what you make of your life, and you have opportunities, but you can go to school and you can learn. But it doesn't work like that. If you got a family of 4 children and a single mum, how's she possibly going to give these kids freedoms that they deserve? Do you know what I mean? It's like, it's impossible. You're fighting to feed, to survive, right? And that's the thing with, it's all over the place. But in America, the race thing is just, it's so fucking dark, man. It's just never goes away. It's like, just because you got Jay-Z and you got Barack Obama and you got these people who are doing well, it doesn't mean shit, really. When you go to the bottom end of it, it's the same, if not worse,
So check it out, and if you like the podcast, please subscribe and share it with your friends. If you want up-to-date music news, album reviews and interviews, then check out our main website at xsnoize.com. You can also follow us on Twitter, Facebook and Instagram. Search for the tag at XS Noize Music. Here's XS Noize writer Daniel Lynch with a taste of what's been on the website this week.
Signing to Epitaph Records for your first album would be a huge step for any band, but Aaron Kavanagh says the Linda Lindas have taken it in their stride. They shot to viral fame last year with their song Racist Sexist Boy, and on their first album, Growing Up, the 4 teenagers merged pop punk, punk and indie. Growing Up gets 9 out of 10 from Aaron. Roe is back with a new single and video. I Dare You is streaming now on the site. Roe had an excellent 2021 with her track Cruel being playlisted on Radio 1, and she teamed up with Kieran Lavery to write and release Destroyer. I Dare You is the latest installment in the existential indie pop artist's growing repertoire. Finally, Interpol continue the build-up to their new album with the release of Something Changed. The video completes the story started in Tony, the first single from the album, which comes out in July. You can see the videos for Tony and Something Changed at xsnoize.com.
In this interview, Bridie Monds-Watson, also known as Soak, talks to me about their third album, If I Never Know You Like This Again. We also talk about songwriting, their musical influences, and much more. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the XS Noize Podcast with Bridie Monds-Watson. Hey Bridie, welcome to the XS Noize Podcast.
Hello, thanks for having me.
Going back to the start, what music was playing around the house growing up?
My parents actually have a really good music taste.
Really?
Yeah, initially, like my first memories are a lot of Joni Mitchell and Led Zeppelin, Pink Floyd, stuff like that. My dad was hardcore into playing guitar and very much like of the Jimi Hendrix kind of vibe. So he forced that on us quite early. And then as we got older, kind of a lot of like Damien Rice and Radiohead crept into our like school drives and stuff like that. So definitely had a wealth of music in the house, do you know what I mean?
And you also did an amazing version of Led Zeppelin's Immigrant Song.
I did, yeah, a couple of years ago. Forgot about that.
So that explains where you were inspired to do it. No, it's fantastic. It's a fantastic version. Completely different.
Thanks very much. Yeah, it's pretty. Yeah, it's definitely different. Me and
Yeah.
Tommy did that. Tommy McLaughlin. We just sat in the studio one day and was like, how can we completely destroy the song? And that's how it happened.
No, that's great. That's great. Can you remember what age you were when you first picked up the guitar?
I must have been maybe 12 or 13 was the time I actually like tried to learn anything. Before that, I have a memory from when I was about 4 or 5. My dad had guitars around the house all the time, and I would just go and like mess with them. And I remember sitting by one day and tuning all the strings up until they snapped because I had no idea how it worked. And then years later, my big brother got a guitar one Christmas, and I was quite competitive and jealous, so I kind of took it on myself to be better than him. And that's kind of how it all began, really.
And can you remember the first song you wrote that you thought, right, this is a really good song?
I'm still waiting on that moment.
You've done plenty.
No, I don't know. I don't think I thought any of my songs, I don't think I thought any of them were like great or anything until I had people giving me their opinions, if you know what I mean. Like, I know my first memory of writing one of my own songs is I remember writing quite a like environmentalist song about saving trees on the guitar when I was just starting out. But beyond that, I think I definitely, I was just writing songs for the sake of writing songs. There was nothing really to be gained initially. So I don't know. I don't know the first time I thought one was good, to be honest, until I maybe informing them live and the response from the audience. I was like, oh, this couldn't be too bad. I think, yeah, it definitely came from what other people thought before what I thought of myself, I think.
And now that you've written loads of songs, when you're writing, what do you think is more important, a great melody or a great lyric?
Both are as important as one another. But sometimes for me, when I'm listening to music, I think sometimes a great lyric will, like, I could hate the music that's going on, but if the lyric was good, I could still appreciate it, if you know what I mean. Whereas, like, I think more often the bad lyric will ruin a song for me. Personally, though, I think I always start with, well, I mean, my writing, like, the way I come at writing changes all the time in terms of my format. But at the moment, I'm tending to write a lot of lyrics beforehand and then make the music around them. And I think for me, once I have the lyrics, I know a lot more what the song should sound like and what it should do. But it's all learning. Like I've done throughout my albums and stuff, I've had so many variations of how I write. I think at the moment, lyrics seem to be my starting point, though.
You had unbelievable success with your debut album, Before We Forgot How to Dream. It was nominated for the 2015 Mercury Music Prize and went on to win the Northern Ireland Music Prize and the Irish Choice Music Prize. So how did this feel with your first album getting all that recognition?
It was, like, obviously felt incredible, but was also very overwhelming. It was a real spectrum of emotions, and I think for the most part I was so busy and in the midst of it that it felt a bit like a movie or a dream or something, you know. Like, it was only really after it that I could process kind of the amazing year I'd had with that record. I was so grateful and thankful and felt really, really lucky to have achieved all those things. I genuinely didn't anticipate any of it, so it was a real big surprise. But it was really I don't know, it felt amazing. But also, yeah, at that age, it's quite a young age to have all these different. I felt like a lot of people were like, obviously, the nature of like being in interviews and stuff is that people comment on your character and stuff. But I think it is quite intense to have so many people comment on you as a person when you're like not even a fully formed person as well. You know, it was intense, but it was also lots and lots of fun.
Well, you'll soon release your third album, If I Never Know You Like This Again. You wrote most of the album with longtime collaborator Tommy McLaughlin. When and where did you start writing the album?
I started writing it in Brighton just after, well, maybe just before lockdown began, actually. So, like, in ways, I was kind of lucky with my timing that I wasn't going to be on tour or anything that was going to be upset by the state of the world. But, yeah, I started writing in Brighton and basically just kind of threw myself into it head first because there was nothing else to do, and it was the only real escape from the situation that I was in, the world was in with lockdown and everything. So it was really a great escape. the thing that got me through all those times is just to make this record. And I think for the most part, I was reminiscing on like all the events that had happened in the year or 2 years preceding that, and trying to collect all those memories and do stuff like that. So it was enjoyable and maddening all at the same time. And then in between, when I could, I would come fly over to Tommy's and we'd work together writing it and just mess around, really.
What were you both listening to that might have inspired the sounds on the record?
I was definitely listening to a lot of like Radiohead and Broken Social Scene and bands like that from kind of, I guess, albums, like 90s albums, really. And a lot of those bands, Tommy was my first entry point into listening to them or discovering them. So I think like definitely there's a lot of Pavement inspiration there with the guitars and stuff. And I'd say, yeah, I'm actually interested in what Tommy was listening to around that moment in time. But for me, that's what I was listening to. I think the last thing Tommy told me he loved was Casey Musgrave's first record. But I don't know how much that would have inspired his sounds for this.
What's the meaning behind the album title? If I Never Know You Like This Again?
It's like I had such a problem trying to name the album. Like I have 50 different names and I just couldn't. It's so hard to finalize a record, and I feel like the name's usually the last thing I put on it. And there's a song in the album called Guts, and the very last line of that is, "If I never know you like this again, I couldn't live with myself." And it's just, I just felt that summarized the whole album, given that it's all these different memories and moments of my life that I'm trying to, questions I'm trying to solve, and a lot of identity questions and just a lot of things I kind of wanted to preserve forever, like, and I think the nature of the title is like, if I never know myself like this again, or if I never know my friends like this again, or this moment in life where I am, like, at least I have it documented and I can always visit it. And in ways, having all those memories and stuff encapsulated, you can always, in some ways, like, have an element of the feeling again. It's like really like nearly giving yourself the opportunity to like delve into a memory for a second time or a third time and relive it, I guess. And so just the only title that really made sense then was that, long as it is.
I read that you've always documented your life in photos and video. I mean, do you do this every day? You're just walking around taking pictures or video and film and stuff?
I think I definitely I'm quite I wouldn't call myself a photographer, but I love taking photos, and I always have a camera on me just because I think I feel very lucky to have the life that I do have, and I think it's worth documenting. I think when I was younger, all I did was like a good Saturday or weekend for us was to go out and just like make a skit or sketch video just around the street and stuff. And I've always been that way, where I'm always kind of trying to capture things. So I just have hard drives upon hard drives of videos and photos of my whole life. I don't know. I just find it really interesting, and I love seeing other people document their lives. You know what I mean? I think it's so cool that you like one photo can say so much, and I love that visually you can complement your music by like adding a whole different dimension as well.
Well, you've certainly done that with the lead single last July. The video that comes along with that is fantastic.
Thank you.
But my absolute favorite song on the album is Neptune, which is like under 7 minutes long. I love I love the guitar solo at the end. It's fantastic. What can you tell me about that song?
Neptune is like an ode kind of to friendship. And I wrote the song about essentially just how much I missed my friends at the time, and I just moved to Brighton, and this horrible pandemic had begun, and I think I was feeling really lost, and I had all these ideas of like, oh, I'm gonna get here and make a new friend group, and all the things you think you'll do when you move to a new place, and suddenly it was kind of impossible, and I just desperately missed my friends, and I was trying to like create this collage of all my favorite memories with them, or at least the most recent memories I had with them. And I think the music kind of assists in the way that there's kind of like a cramp in the music, like there's a kind of like a longing. And the song is like a real build for a good 5 minutes, and then it crashes into this kind of beautiful mess, really, But I also quite like that song on the record, and I think it's going to be one that's really, really fun to play live because it's quite dramatic.
Yeah, it's just epic. I love it.
Thank you.
What song on the album do you feel most connected to, and why?
It changes because it does feel so fresh. It was the quickest album I'd ever written and made, really. So it does feel still very relevant to me. I honestly drive around and listen to it quite often, and and different songs still are kind of will hit me at different times. I think because all the questions I'm asking in the songs are still unanswered in ways. I think now there's a song called Purgatory that opens the album, and it's definitely the one that still gets me every now and again because it's quite existential and it's very. I ask a lot of questions of myself about the passing of time, and I think I'm someone that's quite like concerned about not doing enough with their life. Then every now and again that fear comes back to me, or that worry. So I think at the moment that song's kind of one that feels most significant, meaning wise at least.
Yeah, I really like that song myself. I like the musical changes in it, the guitars.
Thank you. Yeah, it was
Really
a lot of fun to make that.
Is there a particular subject or theme that you would like to write about, but you still haven't got around to yet?
Good question. I don't know. I'm constantly like, I don't keep a journal, but I'm always like, I write notes all the time, different lines and concepts I come up with. I think recently I I wrote a line about cryptocurrency that I'd like to get into a song
Wow.
I just think cryptocurrency is such a funny, just the kind of like people that are super into cryptocurrency is such a vibe, and it is a concept, and I don't know, as a comment on the state of the world. So I think I'll probably try and do that on the next thing I make.
I would really be interested to hear that.
Me too.
Because I haven't a clue, but I've tried to look into cryptocurrency and all. I just don't understand it.
Me too. I bought some recently with my girlfriend because we were like, well, the future may be crypto, and we still don't know how it works. So I don't know if anybody really does.
No. I was looking up to see what your most streamed song on Spotify was, and I wasn't surprised. It's Be a Nobody, which was my first introduction to you from your debut album. You know, it was one of the first songs of yours I heard and still love. What can you remember about writing that song? It's probably seems so long ago.
I was in my childhood bedroom, and I'd been given a Gibson guitar, like they'd gifted me one, so I was like playing every single day, every minute of the day, because that is the dream, and especially when you're like 17, it's all the more amazing. So I was playing about and I was learning different tunings, and I stumbled on this tuning where you tune your A string to G, and that's just the riff just kind of came about. I think I was just about learning kind of muted like strumming and stuff, and that's where the riff came out of. It's a very simple riff, but yeah, it's just that's what born the song. And I think at the time I was really trying to work out what I was about and trying to deal with like, you know, like when you're that age, you kind of feel like you're the center of the universe, but also simultaneously you feel like you're so insignificant and like regarding 7 billion people or whatever there is in the planet. So it was that kind of thing, and it was also like feeling a bit like an outsider, and I mean just classic like angsty teenager vibe. So the whole song was just written out of that, really. And yeah,
No.
I still like it after all this time.
I mean, there's some great acts coming out of Derry, such as yourself, the Wood Burning Savages, Tights, Reva, Roe, and of course the comedy show Derry Girls. Is there something in the water down there?
I think there must be. It's a cool place up here. I mean, I'm constantly amazed at how much talent comes out of such a small town as well. But we're really lucky up here. I don't know. It is just, I think see Derry is such a friendly, welcoming place that really, really nurtures talent, and everybody's quite supportive of their own, you know. So I think it's maybe just being given that foundation to like set up on where you're respected and supported, and the community's good here too. You know, it's real helpful. So yeah, I think it's mainly that, the privilege of nice foundations and a supportive community.
Yeah, there's such a healthy music scene in the whole of Northern Ireland now. It's great.
For sure, and the south too. Like, there's crazy stuff coming out of this whole country. It's mad.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And Healer from down
yeah, for sure.
Great,
Pillow
great.
Queens too. Like,
yeah,
all of it.
Just a few more questions, Bridie. I like to ask my guests the following questions. Out of all the albums in your collection, who do you have the most records by?
Ooh, good question. I'm wondering. At the moment, I was looking around my room to see if I could find them, but I'm like trying to move at the moment, so all my stuff's everywhere. But I'm presuming in the garage that the vinyls I have the most of is Broken Social Scene. I'd say that's my ultimate band at this moment in time anyway. Probably be between that and Radiohead. There was a point in time where, like, when I was looking who I was going to sign with when I was a lot younger, that I just got sent shit tons of vinyl. It's like an incredible couple of months. But I ended up with like the entire Radiohead discography, so it was a very fortunate time.
And what would be your favorite Radiohead album?
I have a real soft spot for this song that's on Pablo Honey that I think it's called Thinking About You. And it's just the first Radiohead song that I found myself and connected with me, like something I hadn't heard on radio or someone showed me. So nearly Pablo Honey, but probably more the Bends, because I just find that so inspirational as a guitar album. The sounds and the structures and the things they do there is like mind-blowing to me.
Yeah, it's a fantastic album, the Bends.
Yeah.
Really, really love that myself. What song or album is your guilty pleasure?
I don't think I have many guilty pleasures anymore. I definitely did when I was younger, but now I just feel like music is music, and like I think I'm over the whole like gatekeeping different music things and what's cool and what's not. I unapologetically love Avril Lavigne, and I think the first two records of hers are like some of my all-time favorites. Like Skater Boy was like huge to me when I was a kid, and Complicated is one of the best songs of all time. So I'd say like that's not guilty at all, but maybe not the coolest. There's a load of great ballads in there. Like, I think a lot of people don't delve because she's known for all the teenage edginess, but there's a lot of great tunes.
So what's next in the immediate future for you?
Well, my album's going to come out on May 20th, and I'm hoping we just get to do loads of touring, ideally. But in the meantime, until then, other than promo and stuff, I've started writing again, and I want to make another album this year. So that's kind of the idea, is just having, hopefully doing loads of shows, and then between the shows, writing and recording, ideally.
Cool. Well, hopefully we'll see you in Belfast or Dublin playing.
Yeah, I hope so. That'd be great. Love to do another Belfast show. I just did the at the start of the year there, and it was pandemonium.
Yeah, it always is. No, it was great talking to you. I've been wanting to talk to you from your first album, so I'm really pleased. I've had a chance to speak to you now for the podcast.
Yeah, no, thanks so much for having me.
No, it's a pleasure. I'm really loving the album, so I wish you all the best with it. And hopefully see you down the road playing some live gigs.
Yeah, definitely. That'd be great.
Enjoy your day.
All right. See you later.
Bye-bye.